America is facing a computer chip shortage. Congress is voting to invest in domestic production, but is this just corporate welfare? Welcome to America Uncovered. I'm Matt Gnezda, filling in today for Chris Chappell. America is in the midst of a chip shortage. And not the type of chip shortage you get when you bring home a bag of flamin' hot Cool Ranch Doritos to a roommate that doesn't respect boundaries. I wrote my name on the bag, Brian. Don't pretend you didn't see it. I'm talking about a computer chip shortage, also known as a semiconductor shortage. It's affecting the whole world. This shortage has been going on for a while. It's mostly due to the COVID-19 pandemic response. Supply chain issues and labor shortages decreased the supply of chips, while more people wanting to work virtually from home increased the demand. Most technology requires semiconductor chips to operate. Even cars need them. But due to the chip shortage, some auto manufacturers are now building vehicles without certain safety features. Even worse, some Teslas may soon start making their cars without the whoopee cushion feature. I'd rather they remove the brakes than get rid of this. The CEO of Volvo said the worldwide chip shortage may finally be showing signs of ending. But most experts say it's not over, and it's actually going to get worse due to the war in Ukraine, since Russia and Ukraine are large exporters of krypton, a gas used in chip production. To which the CEO of Volvo replied, "Shut up, not in front of my investors." The chip shortage is making cars more expensive and has even caused a shortage of cars themselves, which sounds scary. Unless you've ever been stuck in New York City traffic, that's enough to not only make someone root for fewer cars, but to say the only thing Thanos did wrong was snapping away only half the population. But help might finally be on the way, and that help is coming from Congress. Because if Congress is known for anything, it's being helpful. I'll tell you all about their plan and its potential pitfalls right after the break. Welcome back. Earlier this week, the U.S. Senate voted to move ahead on a bipartisan bill, the CHIPS Act of 2022. It would give the U.S. semiconductor industry $52 billion in subsidies for chip manufacturing, research, and production, including the kinds of chips necessary for the auto industry and the military. It would also grant an estimated $24 billion in tax credits for investing in semiconductor manufacturing. And if you're wondering why CHIPS is all capitalized, it's because it's an acronym for Creating Helpful Incentives to Produce Semiconductors. And this is a picture of America if Congress spent as much time working together to solve problems as they do coming up with clever acronyms. On Wednesday, the Senate voted to pass the bill. Then it needs to be passed by the House and signed into law by President Biden, which might happen by the end of the week. This is practically warp speed by U.S. government standards. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer said members of both sides know that America's chips crisis is sending shockwaves across the economy. It is endangering our national security. To ignore the chips crisis means higher costs, squandered job opportunities, and greater dependence on foreign chip producers. Based on what Schumer is saying, it sounds like a smart move. After all, I'm a big proponent of more chip security, especially against Brian. It would also be nice if the U.S. wasn't so reliant on other countries for, well, everything. At this point, America depends on so many other countries for goods and services that July 4th might as well be called Codependence Day. Another main aim of the bill is to compete with China and be less reliant on them for semiconductors, which also sounds like a great idea. It's like that old proverb, give a man a fish and he eats for a day. Teach a man to fish and he doesn't have to do business with a brutal authoritarian regime hell-bent on taking over the world. However, the CHIPS bill isn't all happy rainbows, like Doritos. Several senators don't even fully know what's in the bill. Some members of Congress were in a rush to pass the bill to prevent chip manufacturers from moving production to other countries. And while the bill has bipartisan support, It also has bipartisan opposition. Bernie Sanders joined several Republicans in criticizing the bill. Sanders said, "Not too many people that I can recall, I have been all over this country, say, 'Bernie, you go back there and you get the job done and you give enormously profitable corporations which pay outrageous compensation packages to their CEOs billions and billions of dollars in corporate welfare.'" Not too many say that. So does this mean some have been asking Bernie for corporate welfare? Did they happen to look like this by chance? Several Republicans agreed with Sanders and also called the CHIPS bill corporate welfare. Republican Senator Mike Lee from Utah said, "The poorer you are, the more you suffer. Even people well entrenched in the middle class get gouged considerably. Why we would want to take money away from them and give it to the wealthy is beyond my ability to fathom." So Republicans are teaming up with Bernie Sanders. That's like the Avengers teaming up with Thanos. If I had to guess why, it's probably because they all understand what it's like to be stuck in New York City traffic. And as much money as this CHIPS bill would give to the semiconductor industry in the US, it's actually a stripped-down version of the original bill. A previous version focused more on US economic competition with China, and it would have cost taxpayers even more money. This new, slimmer bill focuses mostly just on semiconductor production and less on direct measures to compete with China, which means one of its main selling points isn't even necessarily true. So those are the arguments. This CHIPS bill would help make America more self-reliant when it comes to semiconductor manufacturing. And it would maybe sort of make the US competitive with China, but only in this one specific thing. And this would be at the cost of tens of billions of dollars going to corporations during a time when inflation is at its highest in decades, and most Americans would rather have money spent on alleviating that. It's a divisive issue. But at least there's one thing to come out of this story that everyone can agree on. Nancy and Paul Pelosi are definitely insider trading. Don't worry, Paul Pelosi sold that stock again after the media found out about it. It's called doing the right thing. So what do you think? Is the semiconductor bill a sound investment or corporate welfare? Leave your comments below. And remember, America Uncovered is supported mainly by our viewers. Be sure to visit patreon.com/America Uncovered. Contribute $1 or more per episode. We rely on your support to help us keep making great episodes. Or join our exclusive censorship-free social media community on Locals. Check out americauncovered.locals.com. Once again, I'm Matt Gnezda. Thanks for watching America Uncovered.